Yes. Do not adjust your TV screens, phones, computer screens. I'm really here, live and living color. I gotta talk to you. Okay? Listen. I know some people are upset that myself and others keep on making content surrounding Candace Owens' claims, and now I've added Tucker Carlson into the list. I'm going over some Megyn Kelly stuff, but I don't think I'm going to add Megyn Kelly. I don't think Megyn Kelly's making I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think she's making the crazy claims that Candace is, and Tucker, he's wishy-washy. I've been said that since, he said what he said about the 2020 election when he was still with Fox. So not a huge Tucker fan to begin with anyway, right? But why do I keep coming after Candace? Again, I'm not coming after Candace. I'm doing exactly what she is doing when it comes to questioning the narrative. I'm simply questioning her narrative, especially when I've already shown you. Shout out to Milk Bar TV, right? I've already shown you time after time how this woman is lying, blatantly lying to her followers. But because people love her so much, they can't see that. And it's the same thing that happens with the people on the right. If Trump does something wrong, you can't convince them that he's done anything wrong, right? Everything is golden. And it's the same thing with people that follow whoever they follow. They can see no wrong with the person that they follow. So be mad. I'm gonna go ahead and answer this little comment right here from J-Bay. Shout out to J-Bay. J-Bay, just so you know, even if you disagree with me, sis, and this goes for everybody, even if you disagree with what I'm doing, I love you. And you're never going to get me to hate you. You're never going to get me to be, malicious towards you or anything like that. But I wanted to address your comment for you, right? You say the fact that Joe Rogan has multiple shows on the same subject, matter yet again, here you are committed to posting Candace every single day. It's so frightening to me. How is it you have yet to attack, judge, or voice your opinion on any man with the same approach? Then the following you have make it seem it's okay to you, maybe because they too have a deep, dark vendetta against black women for whatever reason. Laughing emoji. But the crap is far from okay. The ish is extremely concerning, and I'm gonna call it on every post. Well, I do appreciate that. I don't recall attacking Candace, and I'm certainly don't got a vendetta against black women. My granny was a black woman. You know what I'm saying? My cousins are black women. There's no vendetta against black women. I don't even know where you get that from. But again, this comes from the mind, and I'm making an assumption here that you're one of the people to think that nobody should be able to question a black woman. Am I correct? Nobody should be able to question anything that a black woman does because she's a black woman. I disagree. I question everybody, anybody, don't care. I don't watch Joe Rogan like that to be able to know what he's saying. But guess what you did? You inspired me to say today, I'm going to go and watch Joe Rogan's last couple podcasts since Charlie Kirk's passing. And then I'll give you my opinion about it, since that's what you're requesting. And it's crazy to me that you posted that on there, this comment, right? Because it's not just Candace Owens that's on there. It's Tucker Carlson as well. So why am I supposed to get flagged for questioning a white man? Or is it just about black women? I don't know. Whatever. I digress. But I'm going to do that just for you, J-Bay. And I love you. All right. Beyond that, what do we know? What do we actually know? Right? Well, Candace Owens and others will have you say, I'm going to get to these comments. I see you guys. I'll see you. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Dog Whisper, I see your question. I'm going to answer it in a second. Candace Owens will have you guys believe, number one, that Tyler's not the shooter. Okay? Which I wholeheartedly disbelieve. I reject that. It's a fact at this point. Not officially, right? But from all the evidence that is out there, it is from his own admission through text, right? And the video footage of him jumping off the roof, it's a fact. It's a fact in my mind, right? But me using my wisdom, I'm waiting for the official FBI report, which has not been published yet. And I need everybody to understand this. The official report from the FBI has not been published yet. Okay, so anybody running around here telling you, well, the FBI and the FBI report there's no FBI report, not an official one. Okay, it's an ongoing investigation. Okay, so what do we know? We know that the DNA from Tyler is on a towel. The DNA, thank you, Akira, I see you. Thank you for that. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. We know that the DNA that they found from Tyler is on the towel and on the screwdriver. Here's a fact. They have not came out and said that there is DNA from Tyler on the weapon. That's fair, right? Now, when we jump down into the conspiracy things, right? Do I think that there's some sketchy stuff going on here? It's possible. It's possible. It's the same thing when you guys go back and look at like Martin Luther King's assassination, right? When Martin Luther King was assassinated, he was shot with a high-powered rifle from like half the distance that dude shot Charlie Kirk. And in that, you know, people are questioning how there's no exit wound, right? And I just watched an amazing video from Matt. I'm going to bring that up here in a minute. But pointed something out. Nobody questioned that my man, Martin Luther King, rest in peace, got popped with a high-powered rifle, and it goes through and doesn't come out. There was no exit wound on Dr. Martin Luther King, okay? That's a fact. And then they run with these, the whole autopsy thing, because it said, I went to chat GPT for this. So let me read that to you, as a matter of fact, before we even keep moving with this. First question I asked, is there an official FBI report on Charlie Kirk's assassination? I have found no evidence of an official FBI report publicly released that is labeled as final. Complete case report on the Charlie Kirk assassination as of now. Cool. And then it gives a little description, right? Says the short answer is no. Obviously, Charlie Kirk says non-relevant. Okay, so then I asked, were there legit Discord chats? Because people are now questioning the Discord chat. And this is the thing that they'll run to, Candace Owens and the rest of them. They'll say, well, the people at Discord said that they don't exist. False. I went and watched it myself. I went and watched it and seen the article, the statement from the guy that runs Discord. He said that there was no planning. There was no planning involved through Discord of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. But there was statements made from Tyler's account that he did it. That is their official statement. Come on, bro. This is easy. All you got to do is just look into things just a little bit. And when I asked ChatGPT, that's what led me to go do it. It said, yes, there's credible reporting that Discord chats were recovered by investigators, and some of them include messages that appear to implicate the suspect. And then when you go and look up what the implications are, it's a confession. It's a confession from him. Okay? Not to mention the text messages where he confesses to his friend, right? Confesses and says, hey, I did this. Which that person is cooperating with the FBI. But because that's against the narrative, right? That's not true. That's not true. Not cooperating with the FBI because that person's fake doesn't even really exist. Really? Are you freaking kidding me right now? Okay, so let's move on. Let's move it on. Let's keep going. Was an autopsy done? Was there an autopsy done? This is what ChatGPT says. I cannot find a credible source confirming that the autopsy report for Charlie Kirk has been released, or even definitively confirming one was done publicly. Here's what I found. Some news outlets and rumor debunkers cite that autopsies are required under Utah law for suspicious or violent deaths, implying one was likely done. A dispatch audio clip has circulated online in which someone claims he did not go in for an autopsy, but that is inconsistent with standard protocols and is not verified. A Hindustan Times article raises the questions of when a detailed autopsy report might be made public, but does not confirm that the report currently exists or has been published. The FBI Utah Valley Shooting Updates page were aggregates official release does not include an autopsy or post-mortem report. Yo, Chris, thanks for becoming a member, brother. Appreciate you, man. So, obviously, that's kind of ambiguous because this is all people reporting things. Nothing, no statement given from, people who we can say we know for sure that they're not gonna lie, right? And I would assume, personally, this is me, I would assume that there was an autopsy, right? I would assume that there is an autopsy that has been done per Utah, and it's probably gonna go on somewhere else, you know what I'm saying, or already has, whatever. And they haven't released that, and they're not going to. The only people who are gonna know about this autopsy report, whether they did it, didn't do it, it's gonna get done. If it hasn't been done, I believe it's been done. They got it. The feds know. So people always argue about the exit wound. There's no exit wound. There was no exit. You listen. Wait for the facts to come out. Is all I'm saying. Wait for the facts to come out. Just wait. Wait for all the facts to come out. And that's not even something to run with to say that it was Israel. That's the biggest thing when people say, Cash, why? Rita V said, what? Why would anyone confess to murdering someone if they did not? I could see someone saying that they didn't do it when they actually did. Right. Exactly. But wait for all the facts to come out, you guys. Wait for all the facts to come out. You got people running around here telling you that it was Israel. And then it mutated. It was BB. And then it mutated again. No, 24 USA got something to do with it. Then it mutated again. No, there's a second shooter. And then it mutated again. What's it going to be tomorrow? What's it going to be tomorrow? This is why I keep coming for Candace, because she keeps making all these claims. Zero evidence, zero receipts, zero proof. It is literally all from her mind, from what she makes up in her mind because she's on social media like the rest of you, like the rest of us, and she's watching videos. But the thing that she has that a lot of people don't have, like myself, is a deep, dark hatred for Israel and Jews. That's why she's running with this stuff. And she's making money, bro. It's not hard. It's all I'm doing is pointing out flaws in her logic. That's all. And it's not hard to do. And then now, because of that, I'm paid $7,000 by BB. BB has been paying me $7,000 per post, is what I read. Per post. I'm getting $7,000 to make posts questioning Candace Owens' narrative. I wish they would pay me $7,000 to do what I do for free. That'd be great. I'm just saying, I'm just saying. But even if they did, I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take the $7,000. In fact, I would call Candace Owens up and say, hey, I'm sorry, you was right. That's just the type of guy I am, right? But that's not the case. That's not the case. And it's another thing that I say is it's distant. Yeah, there goes Matt right there. I was just talking about you, Matt. He said, you got paid, bro. I'm still waiting for my check. I'm telling you. And Matt, I'm about to use your video, just so you know. I'm going to show the people what you put out. I just found it. I watched the whole thing. Hit that like for you. And yeah, it was great. But it's true. You know what I'm saying? It's so true that anybody that questions a narrative pushed by somebody who has a large platform, right? They can make any kind of statement that they want to, any allegation that they want to. And people never question it because they've built up trust. And that's what's happened with a lot of people that follow Candace. And I love y'all. Don't get it twisted. Don't think that I'm against you because you're a Candace Owens follower or you reject what I'm saying or you got something bad to say about me. I love you regardless of how you feel about me because I walk differently. I'm trying my best anyway. I walk differently. So I'm not angry at you for being upset at the fact that I'm questioning this crazy stuff that Candace Owens be saying, bro. I'm not mad at you. But don't be mad at me for questioning her narrative or questioning her intentions, especially when I've pointed out, shout out again to Milk Bar TV, because I've shown his clips of him putting it all together, showing how she's lied to you people for months, really, before the whole Charlie Kirk thing. She's been lying for months. Tucker Carlson too. My man Tucker came out and talked about what he got from the Pentagon and how they were doing. And it's all a lie. The Pentagon came out and said, yo, this dude's making this stuff up. We ain't got no part of that. My man's just a liar. He was a liar when he was on Fox News, which was what made me stop watching him then. When he came out and he was pushing for the whole, the election stuff, and he was all behind it and Trump this, and then behind the scenes, he's in the text messages and he's like, oh man, I don't believe none of that stuff. I don't believe anything about the election. I don't buy it. Go on, baby, hold on. I don't buy it. He's a fraud. He's been a fraud. It's about the ratings. You can say, well, he's a journalist, you know? He's just trying to get the truth out there. He's trying to get paid. If it was about the truth, he wouldn't have sat on Fox News lying to people, saying what he truly felt in text messages, but what you wanted to hear as a viewer while he's on his show. That's what's going on. These people don't care. They don't care. So are you saying the side-by-side photo is legit? What photo? What photo are you talking about, Dog Whisper? I don't know what photo you're talking about, my brother. But I can tell you this. That kid, Tyler, as far as I'm concerned, that man did what he did. Did he have some help? Now there's a question that I can get behind. I would say, yeah, possibly. Possibly. It was too much stuff like coordination as far as like the one dude pulling his pants down and you know, and saying that he's the one that did it. Did he? But do I think it was on a government level? No. God, no. Do you really think Israel would be that stupid to do something so sloppy and use these people, right? The guy, the old man. Do you think that? Do you really think that? If Israel is as evil and diabolical as everybody say that they are, and they got all these weapons, and they can do all this stuff, they can get you from anywhere. They can go and get anybody. Do you really think that Candace Owens would exist right now? Do you really think that a Nick Fuentes would exist? I hear he's changed his stance a bit. Cool, whatever. Shout out, Nick. Do you think any of these people that use their platform to speak all this hate towards Jewish people would exist if they are that capable to, and this is the big thing, and make it look like, okay, we're gonna grab a nerdy kid, highly intelligent kid, this old man he's always making a pariah somewhere, and we're gonna send them to go and do this evil deed. Sloppy, leave the screwdrivers and all, just sloppy. But they won't get Candace in the same sloppy fashion? Come on, you're not thinking. You're not using your brain, okay? Now, if Candace wanted to just question things, I'm cool with that. Whatever she do, she could do, whatever, I don't care. But when you say certain things, pushing people to believe things that you know are not true, that's why I got a problem, and that's why I'm gonna do what I do. That's why I'm gonna do what I do. Time's coming. Things are picking up. You know what I'm saying? I'll get back to my OG status soon enough, right? And when I do, I promise you guys this. I will be calling out every single person the way that I do now, just on a bigger stage. On a bigger stage. Because people really just want truth. A lot of people are hurt by what happened to Charlie. Understood. But that don't mean that we take that hurt and that anger that we feel and we start misguiding it and pointing fingers to people that ain't got nothing to do with it, because all that does is take people away from the truth of what's actually going on. What do I actually believe is going on? Our society is split politically. There are too many ideologies that stem and lead to a place of hate. To and from a place of hate. Okay? And it's causing people to lash out and do things like the one dude did, trying to take out President Trump. They put a conspiracy behind that. No conspiracy. Deranged kid. Deranged kid. Same thing with this Tyler kid. Deranged kid. Deranged kid. Not a government conspiracy. Okay? Now, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and share this. Let me look at these comments before we get into this. Okay. No need to take Candace's life. They got her married and overseas with handlers. Yeah. I mean, and that's another thing. I believe that Candace Owens is controlled opposition. A lot of them are. I believe that they are controlled opposition. They're literally put there in front of you to misdirect you. I'm coming. They're there to misdirect you. They're there to lead you into something that's not valid, to take away. They'll give you a little bit of the truth, right? But take you completely out the way of going towards the truth. And one last thing. There's a lot of people that are still running with this whole thing that somehow, and I hate to keep making this about Israel, because at the end of the day, I'm America first and I'm a believer, right? I'm a believer. So Israel is Israel. But we have people that are Israeli that live here. There are Israeli Americans. There are Jewish people that are Americans that ain't never even been to Israel. So this is why I do this, because I care about them. I care about regular people that are affected by lies that get told on the internet. But there's this running thing that, somehow Charlie Kirk was just completely against Israel, and that he hated Bibi secretly, and that he was going to bring Candace Owens back and put her on the grand stage with him, and they were going to hate Israel together. And obviously that's a lie. I mean, because she told us about the letter and how it was misrepresented prior to her knowing that they actually were going to publish the letter that she told them to publish. Remember when she got all mad and was like, I told you to publish the entire letter, not a sentence, right? And they're misconveying what the message actually, and then they released the whole letter, and then it changed again. And this is again why I say this, she's a liar, okay? And then they bring up Charlie Kirk's last video where he's questioning things about Israel, questioning things about October 7th. That I share his same opinion about that with October 7th. I want to know the same questions that he was asking. I have them same thoughts. But at the end of it, he said, in no way am I turning on Israel. And that's the part that they leave out. Like in the letter itself, he talks about how much he loved, Israel. And then in the clip that was shared of him talking with Candace, talking about how great Bibi Netanyahu is. And one thing that she always leaves out on the last thing when he was talking about it is he said, maybe Bibi, because he doesn't think that Bibi is the bad guy. He thinks that maybe, possibly, Bibi has traitors in his midst, which would make sense because that's what we have in America. We literally see people grand stage in Congress that are for real enemies of the people. It's not far-fetched. Okay? And lastly, I want to point out one last thing before I get into this video. People want to know my stance, again, because I made it clear before, but we're always evolving, right? Israel and Gaza. I hate that it's happening. It's sad. And I'm praying for the Israelis, and I'm praying for the Palestinians that are affected by all of this. But to say, and I got to say it, but to say that Israel is committing a genocide is crazy. It's crazy. It's stupid. Why? Bro, do you know how many people we took out in Afghanistan? Do you know how many people we took out in Iraq? Do you know how many people we took out in Hiroshima as America? All you people arguing, well, that's not Israel's land. That was Palestine. I got a map right here from 1941 and it said Palestine. What did it say before that? What did it say before it was Palestine? Go back a little further. Go to a Roman calendar. What did it say? I'm pretty sure it said Judea. Pretty sure. And before that, it was the kingdom of Israel. And before that, it was Canaan. Israel's the only place. See, America, right? In America, we got Indians, natives, right? And they have a claim to this land because they were here. If you believe all of that, right? They were here, whoever they are. I don't know. I don't know if they're the people that, they say that they are. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. That's my own little conspiracies. But They were here. They have a legit claim to this land, but we took it by conquest. Okay? We conquered this land. So this is our land, period. Right? And then you see other places like, India. India, they're indigenous and it's their land. India's land is theirs because they've always been there. So they have a claim because that is their land that they've been there indigenously. Right? And then you have Israel. Okay? Israel has that land. Number one, they have a legitimate claim to be there ancestrally, right? That's their homeland. Number two, they took it by conquest after it was given to them through politics. So they have all three claims to be able to say that we have a right to be here because we can win a war. Nobody can make us move. Number one, same with America. Can't nobody make us move out of America. Number two, this is our ancestral home, just like the Indians have a claim to their land. The actual Indians, the Abu, you know what I'm saying? And then the policies that got them there in the first place. Back there in the first place. But yet we want to argue that they're not supposed to be there. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, bro. If you can't take it from them, shut up. That's it. Shut up. It's unfortunate what's happening with the war. I love you if you're a Palestinian. I love you. I love you if you're an Israeli. I'm not making this about that. I'm talking about in the way that the world runs, governments, all of that, civilizations. That's their land. Can't nobody move them. Simple. So get off of the kick. It's theirs ancestrally. It's there because of mandates and policies that was drawn up. Even though it said Palestine before, understand how Palestine even came to be. Understand that. Once you understand that, you can say, "Oh, come on, this is kind of ridiculous," right? But it's theirs. I'm gonna leave that there. That's where I stand. I'm praying for everybody involved: Palestinians, Israelis. I'm not against either of them. I'm just against Hamas, and I'm against the terroristic side of Israel's government because that is a big thing that does exist as well. Just want to throw that out there. Their government, I feel, is corrupt. Not all the way through. There's some good people in there, but come on. I say the same thing about our government. Our government is corrupt, and we got some really messed up people in there as well. There's that. We good? Everybody's good. Okay. Let's jump on over here into this video. I'm gonna let this thing play out. Matt, release the claim if they hit me, bro. All right? If they get me. All right, let's get over here. I want you guys to watch Matt's video. And I'm going to let this thing ride. All right? Matt, you did a fantastic job, by the way, bro. Really good. I'm going to let this thing ride, you guys. And I'm going to get off the screen so you can just see the video. Cool?
Ever since the notion has been put forward that somehow the 30-06 bullet didn't exit Charlie Kirk's body, people have just been losing their shit.
There's no way this could happen. I've killed more deer than chronic wasting disease, and I've never seen a bullet not exit. It should have left a basketball-sized hole out the back of him. Look what it does to ballistics gel. Look what it does to the ballistics dummies. It just goes right through them and crushes bone.
Put that there. Whose show do you think this is? Here's the thing. It's happened before. Yeah, there's been a high-profile assassination in this country where a high-powered 30 caliber rifle, most likely probably suspected to be a 30-06, was used to shoot a high-profile political figure, and the bullet never exited. And while there is a ton of controversy around that specific assassination, one of the facts remains, and it is pretty much undisputed, that the bullet never left the body, or didn't exit the back of the body and blow a basketball-sized hole all over the wall behind him. Now, we'll get to that in a minute, but let's talk about ballistics gelatin for a second, because this is the darling of YouTubers. Everybody who's in the gun space, who's anybody, gets a block of 10% FBI ballistics gel and then shoots it with high-speed cameras so everybody can see the temporary and permanent wound cavities and the expansion of bullets all in 20,000 frame per second video. And that's great. It's a cool thing, but There's some limitations on that gel. There's actually two types of ballistics gel in the world. There's 10% FBI and there's 20% NATO. And it's really important that you understand the difference and the limitations of this medium before you start drawing all of your assumptions and conclusions based upon it. First, 10% ballistics gel was developed in response to the 1986 FBI shootout, where the FBI and their weak service revolvers found themselves outgunned by some suspects, one of which had a high-powered rifle. I believe it was a Mini 14 chambered in 5.56 NATO /223 Remington. They developed this gel as a medium so they could test the penetration and expansion of handgun bullets so that they could find the optimal round. It does not take into account things like bone structure or anything else. It was just calibrated to be the same consistency as human soft tissue so you could see how a certain bullet would travel through, how much expansion and weight retention that bullet had, and how deep it would go into a person. They wanted to get somewhere between, I believe, 12 and 18 inches of penetration to be suitable and a certain rate of expansion and bullet retention. That's all that's designed for. People shooting it with rifle bullets and everything else, that's really not what that test was designed to do. Second, there is a 20% grade. It's a more gelatin to water mixture when you build it, and NATO came up with that to test to make sure their bullets didn't expand or break in the body so that they didn't violate the Geneva Conventions and nobody brought them up on war crimes charges. That's it. That's the only reason that exists. And again, they made it a little harder so that they could count for things like uniforms, density, equipment, maybe a little bit of bone, but that's what that exists for. It is a steady, constant, calibrated medium by which to test bullets for certain properties. Nothing more, nothing less, okay? Ballistics gelatin, ballistics dummies, okay? What about the dummies and it goes through their bones? Well, I'll link you a survey conducted in, I believe, 2016 or 2017 by the National Institutes of Health, where they were looking for a suitable supplement or a suitable alternative for human cadaver bone to test the frangibility qualities of 5.56 and 7.62 by 51 NATO, otherwise known as 308. More on the 308 later. Their study took into account two synthetic bones that are made for training orthopedic surgeons on. It's a company called Sinbone out of Switzerland and another company here in the United States called Sawbones. And what they found was that these two sets of synthetic bones do not replicate accurately the properties of bone striking human human cadaver bone. They wanted to find a way to get more bones so they could test more bullets without having to have more already dead bodies. Simple as that. And what they concluded was there's no replacement for the real thing. Now, they do use pig thoracic vertebrae in some of these tests to kind of tune stuff before they end up shooting a cadaver so they don't have to shoot through all their cadaver bones. Pig thoracic vertebrae is what is generally accepted as the closest analog to human bone and human bone density. So, let's get back to that it already happened thing. Some of you may already know this, but here you go. Martin Luther King was shot with a .30 caliber high power rifle at a range of about 200 feet, half the distance of what we're talking about with Charlie Kirk. Now there is some skepticism, myself included, behind whose rifle it was and who pulled the trigger, but there are some generally accepted parts of that narrative, and one of them is that the bullet never exited Dr. King's body. We already do have an autopsy. We have sketches, we have x-rays that we can access through the National Archives to confirm this. You can see x-ray photos of bone fragment and bullet fragment in Dr. King's body. Some people have questioned the legitimacy of the autopsy, and I'll address that right now. You see, people think that this guy named Dr. Michael Baden performed the autopsies of MLK, JFK, Epstein, everybody and anybody who's ever been killed and had a conspiracy around them, and that's simply not true. What Dr. Baden is he's an expert that's brought in to consult with panels, commissions, commentary on TV. He's more of a talking head. He did not perform the initial autopsy on Dr. Martin Luther King. This man did. Dr. Jerry T. Francisco, he was at the time the Shelby County, Tennessee medical examiner. Dr. Francisco did this autopsy. All the sketches and the x-rays that you see are his. And there are some criticisms of his autopsy method, but I don't think that they're really relevant, but we'll talk about them right now just to get them out of the way. In Dr. Francisco's autopsy, there were some questions about the bullet path and the dissection. He didn't really dissect in to dig around and find every little path that went on. And he said in his testimony, in his affidavit, that he didn't do that because he didn't want to disfigure Dr. King's body anymore. He was already dead. He was able to recover to the fragments of the .30 caliber bullet, and there wasn't any more purpose for him to want to dig deeper to really trace bullet paths, intersections, where stuff bounced around. Now, the standard narrative is that Dr. King stepped out on that balcony, he was getting ready to address some followers down below him, and a shot came from a second-story window of a rental house, or like a boarding house basically, across the street. It struck him somewhere about here, went through his jawbone, then down into his neck, through his spine and his thoracic vertebrae, and the remainders and fragments were found back behind his shoulder bone. This was confirmed by the now controversial HSCA panel, and some people think that the re-entry path is odd and that the autopsy documentation was not conclusive for every internal intersection, which kind of goes back to Dr. Francisco's point. Whether you believe Dr. Francisco or not, I don't know. He just didn't collect that data, and people have tried to interpret different things based upon that. Basically, it entered here in the jaw, exited the jaw, came back into the neck, went back out into the spine, and that's where into the shoulder, and that's where the fragments were found. What's less controversial is the actual bullet that was used. It was a .30 caliber Remington Peters soft point metal jacketed bullet, a jacketed soft point bullet. This bullet is still produced inside of Remington's line of Core-Lock. It's a very well-known, very well-used hunting bullet. It's definitely a FUD bullet, so I would definitely think that Granddad may have put that in his rifle and found it worked for him, and he kept using it year after year after year because it worked with his rifle and it worked on dropping deer. And if our shooter received that rifle like we are told that he did, he probably just continued to use Granddad's ammo, which would match up kind of here. Possibly there's some overlap potential. Okay. Now, the controversy there is more about the fragments matching the rifling of the alleged murder weapon that James Earl Ray was alleged to have used. They were inconclusive. So that is part of what sparks that controversy and fuels that controversy when it comes to the assassination of Dr. King. And because of that wound tracking, there has been some controversy about exactly where the shot came from, but most skeptics, most people that are questioning the narrative of Dr. King don't really question that that shot came from this place with a high velocity, high power .30 caliber round, struck him here and killed him. There's no conspiracy around a second shot, a second shooter, a guy with a handgun sitting next to him, detonating microphone clipped to him. Most everybody agrees Dr. King was shot with a high power .30 caliber rifle bullet. And it was one shot and the bullet never exited his body. Now, if you want to say that maybe it was a different .30 caliber, well, a 308 or 7.62 by 51 NATO can and is commonly loaded with the exact same projectiles as a 30-06. But at those ranges, the terminal ballistics of those two rounds are going to be very, very similar. So similar that you probably cannot tell the difference. 308 or 7.62 NATO is just a shortened 30-06 cartridge that they used the technologies that had been developed in firearms since the 30-06 was invented to ramp up what was possible inside that shorter case and get it closer to matching a 30-06. They wanted a shorter case because it cycles faster in automatic and machine guns. It also has a little less recoil. It's a little bit more manageable. Okay? Those things being addressed, we can see that there's really no controversy about a man getting hit by a high-power 30 caliber rifle and the bullet not exiting his body. It fragmented somewhere in Dr. King, and if you are to believe what is now in the non-official narrative, let's take that a step further too. You see, in Charlie Kirk's case, we do have all of our video footage that we've all seen, and we have some secondary sources telling us that the bullet didn't exit. We don't have a definitive official narrative from the FBI, state and local government. We just have what two people have relayed that I know of from conversations they had with the supposed surgeon who was attending Charlie Kirk. One of those people is a member of TPUSA who has said that the doctor told him it was a miracle the bullet didn't pass through and strike another person. Now, you can infer what you want about that. We can just take this at face value and say, okay, that's something. But there are some questions I have as to the use of miracle and some other things in, or the fact that it was a two-person conversation, telephone, punctuation, high stress, all these things can contribute to information getting perceived and reported differently than what was said, okay? So, but for what we're saying right here, let's just assume that, okay? The second person that I know of is a guy I didn't think would say something that would corroborate the narrative, and that was Alex Jones. Alex Jones said that he had a conversation with the attending physician, and the physician told him that the round took a glance off of his collarbone here, his clavicle, went into the neck, struck the spine, spiraled down, mushroomed out, fragmented, blew everything out on its way down. I'll tell you what I've observed just from the videos that I've seen. The neck wound doesn't appear to be regular. It does not appear to me to be a hole punched by a .30 caliber bullet straight on. It doesn't have the round signature. It's bigger. It almost looks like a slash of some sort. If you want to go back and review those videos and find some unedited copies, especially from frontal angles, you can see, we've all seen the shirt, and the shirt causes controversy because people think that a strike here would not cause the vortice effect that we've seen on the shirt, and I think that they could be right. If you watch some of the videos right before Charlie falls over, you will see both the stream of blood from the neck. You will also see a hole and blood spilling out from somewhere in this area right here. I believe this is probably your primary impact point. Based on what all these other guys are telling me, or what all these other people are saying, I believe that the bullet probably impacted the clavicle, either did like Alex Jones said and deviated, hit the neck, hit the spine, went down, or it impacted the clavicle, went straight through, because we have seen photos or video of the back of the shirt moving too. And what we see here is bone fragments and everything else blowing out. I can neither confirm nor deny any of that, but we're going to go forward with the assumption that Kirk was hit, either hit on the clavicle and we had a fragment or a bounce or a yaw effect into the neck, or there was a strike here and everything else blew out the neck. How could this happen in certain cases with a human being but not with an animal? Well, there's some difference between bipedal hominids and quadruped game animals and the angles at which shots are taken that can explain a lot of this. And for that, I need to go find a prop for an analog, so just give me 1 second. Get over here. Okay. Here's our stand-in for a quadruped game animal. It is a Maltipoo jackalope, and if you're wondering why I dressed my girlfriend's dog up like a gender-confused 8-point buck, well, it's just easier. All right, I'm going to get these off of him because he doesn't like that. But when hunters take shots at game animals, you're usually taking it at a broadside, and there are some distinct differences in how game animals are built that contribute to that pass-through. You see, their load-bearing structure is all in their forelegs and their hind legs, and their spine just works as kind of a connection to keep everything suspended down here and together here to here. And when a game hunter takes a shot at an animal, he's aiming for vitals that are usually behind the shoulder blade. The ribs that are in here are bone, but ribs are more flexible. They're just there to keep everything cased in and supported and protected from accidental bumps and everything else. So when you take a shot on a game animal, you're usually taking it at broadside at level, and you're aiming for vitals in here, and the round easily passes through these bones with no problem and blows everything out the other side. That's just how you do it. You're also, even if you're going to take a frontal shot, you're going to be shooting in to the front here and coming in into vitals, and it may bounce around and blow out on the sides. Big heavy game like moose or bear or something, if you take a shoulder shot, you do end up having instances where you don't have pass through, or you have a redirection and it comes back out on the other side over here. But never are you ever intentionally targeting the spinal area. And you don't ever really take headshots. It's not ethical to shoot an animal from the head, because if you miss the kill zone, you end up blowing his jaw out and he goes and starves to death. Same thing with really neck shots. But if you do take a neck shot, you end up having a really big blowout, because the neck is so much thinner and it's just basically muscle and the spine. And if you were to hit the spine in these shots, it's a direct shot on the spine, and all that energy is shot right into the spine with no real backing behind it or in front of it to induce yaw or fragmentation or slow a bullet down. Also, when you're taking hunting shots, generally speaking, you're hitting them straight on. You're not coming in at angles or any other thing else, because you want to try to preserve as much meat as you can. And this is the easiest way to kill a game animal without blowing out all the vital meat in all these big muscle groups. So that is why you can be the most successful hunter in the world and have killed 100 deer in your life, and 100 out of 100 you've always seen a pass through, because you're a good shot and you're aiming in the right places that put the animal down and don't ever really intersect with any of the hard, dense bone structures in the body. Human beings are different, and I'll get this guy back to his mom and explain for you here in a minute.
I'm gonna address some comments when I come back in, y'all.
Most big rifle shots, and in these cases with Dr. King and with Charlie Kirk, both, the shot has come from some sort of frontal angle and at an elevation. And our anatomy is directly to play into that, I believe. You see, we have ribs, which are just as flexible as an animal's, but we also have things like load-bearing clavicles, so we can pick things up. And we also have dense shoulder blades behind us. And in between that all is our spinal column. And our spinal column is unique because our spinal column is in and of itself a stack of very dense, thick bone formulated to do two things. There's your neck. One, to carry and support the load of your body and anything else you might be carrying that's suspended to it. It's the central vertical column of our body, and then it connects down here at the pelvis to our femur and everything else, which is also heavy, dense, load-bearing bone. That's how we're built. The other thing about spines is that they are the central conduit for our electrical system. They are where all of our nervous system pathways connect and route back up to the brain. So, twofold, they are super strong for a reason. One is to handle that load and compression. Two, it's to protect that central nervous system from any kind of impact and severing the spine. In an animal, they're here, they're kind of designed to suspend a load hanging from them, keep them from falling apart, and to protect that central column. But in the way that the animal is built, everything's hanging down here. You're never hitting it square on in front like this. You're always hitting it from the side, aiming at... You're always hitting it at the side, aiming it at all the vitals that are hanging down from it. So you're a good shot, you've killed a lot of deer, you've never probably hit the spine, and you've never also probably hit the spine in combination with other load-bearing bones. That's what makes human beings different. We have the clavicles out here, we have the shoulder blades in the back. In both instances, the shot was taken at a higher angle of elevation from the front, and appears in the case of Charlie Kirk, and most certainly in the case of Dr. Martin Luther King, it hit a large, strong bone before it entered in and then struck the spine. In the case of Dr. King, it came in through the jaw, went in, hit the thoracic vertebrae down here, and either just exploded into fragmentation or split, bounced around, and ended up lodged back behind the shoulder blades. In the case of Charlie Kirk, I think that it most likely hit the clavicle and either bounced up into the spine and then tumbled back down, or it went straight in, split the clavicle, started to immediately fragment or lose energy or yaw, hit the spine again, and then stayed somewhere in his body with that energy dump. We don't have conclusive proof that he was hit in the spine, but by all accounts, by experts, this motion here is indicative of a severe spinal injury. So, And it corroborates what is being said by the secondary sources, that the bullet struck, hit the spine, paralyzed him, killed him instantly, blew everything out inside of him. And because we have all of this skin around our body, if the thing's not going to come straight back out, it will contain some of that shockwave. We just have so much more mass. So that's why I believe that there is a likelihood of a round from a very, very powerful game hunting rifle not being able to blow its way through the human body, just because simply we're built differently and we're taking shots at different angles. Okay, so having seen and observed all of that, I'm going to leave you with my hypothesis and what I'm going to do as a testing method going forward to try to see if we can get a bullet to fragment in a similar way as what we have documented well in Dr. Martin Luther King, and what we believe based on video evidence and unofficial secondary sources may have happened to Charlie Kirk. Here's my hypothesis, and I've written it down so I can speak to it clearly. When bullets impact high density or load-bearing bones, it can induce yaw or fragment. If it then strikes the spine or other bones, such as a shoulder blade, the impact may dissipate enough energy to prevent an exit, even for high-powered and high-velocity rounds such as .30-06. This phenomenon is more likely in humans due to the alignment of bones in the vertical thorax. Simple as that. That's the hypothesis. That's what we're going to test going forward. Now, to do that, I'm going to go ahead and start mixing up blocks of gelatin with as similar and bone in density that I think I can get to a human spinal column plus clavicle and shoulder blade. I have put some requests out to local butchers to try to start sourcing bones, specifically pork, thoracic vertebrae, and shoulders. If you are a hunter somewhere within 100 or 200 miles of the Phoenix area and you've just shot a big game animal and you want to donate the spine or the shoulder blade for some research, I'd love to have it. Send me an email. My email is in the description below. I can see if I can swing on over and pick up what you got. So keep following along. That's where we're going with that. In the meantime, I do have some content that I want to put out that's more speaking to just some of the knowledge-based stuff that I have. Want to talk about heirloom rifles and how they play a part in this, especially with the narrative with the text messages and the granddad's rifle thing. Look for that one coming out. And if you got anything else you want to see that I can do in a studio setting here just to speak about.
All right, you guys, make sure you go and give Matt Kester a follow over on YouTube, and he's also on Instagram. I follow him on both. That brother I love his videos, and I'm staying up to date with what he puts out just so I can bring it to you guys, because the dope thing, and if you're a butcher, get that man some bones so he could put it together and do the test. You know, he's going to try to hit angles and everything the same to see what happens. Because online right now, you got people that are making an argument, oh, I shot through 2 inches of steel. I shot through a cow femur. I shot all good and well. Not saying that you didn't. All I'm saying is, bro, is that it's not impossible for a bullet to get lodged in somebody. It's not. It's especially that. And at first, I ain't gonna lie, you almost had me. You almost had me. But after talking to ChatGPT and watching dudes that are snipers in the military and talking, listening to them talk, I'm like, oh, okay, it is possible. It is. It's not common, but it's very possible. So I can't fall into the whole Candace Owens, conspiracy theory. But I did have a thought. Now, I'll tell you this, I did have a thought about it, right? Because I noticed that they didn't come out yet and say that they got his DNA on the rifle. I noticed that, right? And I noticed that when he was texting about the rifle to his girl boyfriend, he was saying that his dad's gonna be upset because he left the rifle at his drop point and all this kind of stuff. And he made specific details, like he was talking about the scope and it costed $2K and like describing the gun, right? But this kid is very smart. Allegedly, he was a little genius, high IQ, all of that. So it made me think, what if, and this is just my own thought, I'm not trying to create a conspiracy theory, but what if, and there's no ballistics done on the rifle bullet compared to the rifle as far as ChatGPT says, and I couldn't find anything from the FBI saying it. So what if in this ongoing investigation, they come out and tell us that that's not the rifle that he used, that rifle was actually put there to throw people off the trail and possibly get this dude, you know, a hung jury. I thought about that. What if he was like, okay, I'm going to go and put this rifle right here? Because they didn't even say that they got the DNA on the rifle, but he wrapped a towel around the rifle that he, in my mind, right? What if he placed that rifle there, put the towel around it, went change his clothes right quick, and all of that was to be a red herring? Just a thought. I still say that he's the one that did the crime, but maybe they got the wrong weapon, is what I'm saying. That's more of a believable conspiracy theory to me than the Jews. That's all I'm saying. It was BB. It was Turning Point USA, which I will say that there are some questions that I got. I mean, there is some stuff that I got in my head, but I'm not gonna put nothing out yet because I want to see the whole report. I want to see what the FBI says, you know. But I got another really cool video, right? And this video is from True Crime Rocket Science over on YouTube. And I really like this video because he's asking real legit questions and he's got a real good breakdown, and I like it. So let's check it out. You guys want to see it? Let's see it. Wait a minute, what happened? At the stage? We got to get this right here. Nope, that's not the right one. There it is. There's what we want right there. Okay, let's fix this real quick so I can come back to my screen the right way. Get that off here. There we go. All right, let's do this. Oh, and thank you guys. I see the viewership's going up on the different platforms. Thank you if you shared it out or whatever. I don't know who did that, but we had a little jump, so thank you. All right, let's watch this.
Footage from Taylor Hanson reenacting and recording the route of the suspected shooter. I'll be putting a link to that short video clip in the description. So let's review what we know. The shot rings out at 1, 2, 2, 3, 30 seconds. Let's put those numbers on screen. Now you can see from this screen grab that the CCTV provided by the FBI only starts 7 seconds after that. Many of you guys have gotten stuck on those missing 7 seconds, but that's just the starting line. After the shooter jumps off the side of the building, walks along the grass. By the way, do you notice he holds the towel concealing the rifle away from the white vehicle approaching the parking lot? Then after the vehicle passes, he switches it around so that it faces away from the traffic passing him on the left. Well, isn't that suspicious? Isn't he trying to hide something? And then the footage cuts off. What happens next? And where exactly was the rifle found? Before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Welcome to the thousands of you who have subscribed. Again, kudos to Taylor Hanson, who went boots on the ground and verified this information himself.
Oh, I didn't read
As I said, I'll
that.
put a link to his little video clip
you.
in the description.
Thank you for that
You can
info.
also follow me on X at Crime Rocket. If you're finding this analysis worthwhile, please do hit the thanks button and let's get started.
She spoke about the heartbreaking moments she had to tell their 3-year-old daughter Gigi that her father was never coming back.
She goes, "Where's Daddy?" What do you tell a 3-year-old? She's 3. I said, "Baby, Daddy loves you so much. Don't you worry. He's on a work trip with Jesus."
People even coming
Let's
after
remember
Erica.
that this isn't just a game. We are talking about someone who lost their life and the investigation and the trial to bring his murderer, Charlie Kirk's murderer, to justice. If you've been complaining that we don't
Hold on. Look at that. I'm sorry, guys. Look at him. Look at him. I'm sorry. He's got the I'll take somebody out look. He's got that look, bro. He does. Call me what you want. We all do it. We all profile. Everybody does it. It's a human thing. Okay? And that profile, I wouldn't talk crazy to him. I'm sorry. I wouldn't. I know. I see it. Nope. Sorry, Jack.
murderer to justice. If you've been complaining that we don't see the starting line in terms of the footage, an equal issue can be made about the finishing line. After the suspect is seen walking along the road, what happens next? It's one of the most unexplored areas of true crime post-meditation. If you're hearing that term for the first time, well, it's because I coined it. Premeditation and post-meditation hold hands. They are mirror images of each other. After the suspect is seen walking along the road, what happens next? The answer is that he immediately crosses the highway, College Drive, and he enters a small nondescript wooded area. And this is where he abandoned his weapon, the towel, and some of his clothing. Here's the view towards UVU where he crosses the road. Here he has his back towards the woods. And here's the opposite view from Campus Drive of the woods with his back to UVU. Note the red line on the sidewalk and the white line running in the road designating a cycling lane running parallel to it. Well, here is that exact spot being cordoned off. You'll notice the embankment slopes steeply downward, creating a dark forest canopy and blocking off line of sight, which provides additional cover. Taylor Hanson also goes down into this area and describes it as quite a good area if that is what you wanted to do, hide something away. This is the same area from a different angle. And here's an officer collecting evidence in that embankment. You'll also notice the area underfoot is longish green grass, longer than the lawn he ran across and also sunless. Well, that's a match for the background of this image. Also, the dark shoe sticking out of the top corner of the image looks like it might belong to the FBI.
So real quick, who has the package of a gun that they're using in a crime? I don't think that that's the packaging. I think that that's just the box that the FBI is using to transport it. I don't think that that's like the packaging of the gun. I could be wrong, but I would assume.
Officer pictured above, crouched down on one knee. This is that same area taken from another angle. Note the red line running along the sidewalk and the white line in this image as well. Yeah, it's possible the engraved casings are being placed inside an evidence envelope. Can you make out what the officer is holding in his gloved hand? Could it be a dark towel? Now, when I did lighten the image, it didn't look like he was carrying anything. So we must be careful to draw inferences just because we want to. In this image, the officer appears to be placing something metallic into the envelope. It looks to me like, what is that thing? It looks to me like it could be a buckle or a watch more than a bullet.
Looks like
the officer crouching over, holding the envelope open, is not wearing a glove and could be in trouble if there is some DNA contamination. Once again, you can see in this image the grass is thinner and longer on this side of the road. Another interesting question to ask is where the shooter scoped out the cops in the woods.
Now that's a good question. Where was this dude watching? Because if you read the text messages, he's like, yo, I still see a vehicle down the road. I can't even move yet. So he's watching them. Where is he watching them from? That's a really good question, which I think we'll find out in the report. Because remember, and this is where I say, man, people beating up Kash Patel, but he's been doing the right thing, right? Kash Patel has been forthcoming quicker than anybody else in the history of the FBI with giving information, right? And he says, yo, we're tracking the phones, we're pinpointing, we're geolocation, we on top of this. But he can't say nothing yet because it's an ongoing investigation. So we don't know if they already know if there's other people involved, which I think it might shock us all. I ain't gonna lie, I think it might shock us all, but we have to wait. And that's why I keep telling people, yo, pump the brakes. We can make our little conspiracy theories as long as they're harmless towards, big groups of people. Candace Owens, you know what I'm saying? Stop doing that. But we all got questions. You know what I'm saying? Wait till that report comes out. I think that we're going to know. I think we're going to know where he was hiding out watching them.
He would have parked right across the road. Probably he would have had an aerial view from the parking garage. So if you take the text messages as being authentic and you want to test whether it's possible to see what he was seeing, what he said he was seeing. Remember, he said, I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering. Then he said, going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they've moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. So he's probably looking at the news as he's waiting or while he's waiting.
So let me pull up this comment real quick. Lindsay, I don't have doubt Tyler was responsible. I don't doubt the route or taking apart the gun itself, which he didn't. And then we already know that. He did not take apart the gun. That's something that, again, they got wrong. Candace and them got wrong. He did not take apart the gun after he got off the roof. The roof was full. The gun was fully assembled. And the damage of the gun was done. With that being said, the FBI cannot disclose all the information that will affect the trial. We should hear more during the trial and have more information. Right now, speculation is only causing for conspiracies. Yup. I believe Kash Patel knows and can't disclose as it's an ongoing investigation. Agreed. 100%.
It also says, I can get close to it, but there's a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. I'm wishing I'd circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle.
One last thing. Tamra, crazy he really knew that area and wasn't from there or go to school there. Well, that's the thing that I don't understand why people keep saying that, right? Because it's not hard. First, let's pretend that he didn't know anything, right? It's easy. You see how all these people, Matt, look at how Matt did. Matt, in the video that I showed you before, pulled up Google Earth, pulled up these locations, pulled up footage of the entire area. The entire area. And then if you read his own admission, the kid, he'd been planning this for at least a week. So which means he could have been studying where I'm going to go, what street I'm going to walk down, which way I'm going to run, all of that, which is not impossible. I mean, you think about it, well, I don't know. You guys probably don't think the way that I used to think, but when I was younger and I was going to go and do something crazy to somebody because I was a gangbanger, I peeped out the location. Seen which cuts I could run through, which street I could drive down, where I park my car, all of that. It's real. People do that. I know it doesn't seem normal. It's not normal, but I mean, it does happen.
Also, I worry about Prince. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. So that's where he says he changed. He says, the only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. And I think the bullets that he engraved as well. Later on he says, all right, I'm going to have to leave it. This really fucking sucks. So we get the idea that he was surveilling them while they were investigating that scene. The question again is, from where? The other part many miss is that the starting line isn't actually when he fires the shot. That's the halfway mark. The starting line is wherever he parks his car. Once he makes it back to his car, he's basically home free. So it also makes sense that the direction he heads in after firing the shot is straight towards his vehicle, but for some reason he doesn't feel it safe walking all the way to his vehicle with a rifle in his hand, and this is the riskiest part of the whole plan. If someone sees the rifle and sees his vehicle, he reckons he's toast. So he wants to break up that ability to join the dots, just as he dressed in different clothing to try to avoid detection. Do you see, if we are going to join the dots, it's not only joining ABC and XYZ, we also have to join Z to A. And we can see that's exactly where he's headed. In this case, we can see he's heading from point number 9 towards point number 1, which is where his car is parked. He can get back to his car by changing shirts and then threading his way through the relatively quiet neighborhood to retrieve the firearm. Except then things go awry. Does that make sense? I can't really say why the FBI haven't provided the first 7 seconds or the last 7 seconds. It could be that they want to preserve those scenes and don't want looky-loos trespassing or contaminating the scene. Right now, the area of the shooting is cordoned off and is under 24/7 surveillance. By the way, this perspective also confirms what law enforcement said when they spoke about the shooter's approach, which would have been from this side and would have involved stepping over the fence-like barrier and onto the gravel surface of the roof. Let's go back to the affidavit. The suspected shooting position is adjacent to an open, publicly accessible walkway. To access the suspected location, a person must climb over a railing. Well, is there a railing? Check. And then drop to the roof only slightly below. Is the roof only slightly below? Check. The UVU officer climbed over the railing and down onto the roof. He then walked to the suspected shooting position and confirmed a clear shooting corridor between the position and Mr. Kirk's seat. He also noticed markings in the gravel rooftop consistent with the sniper having lain on the roof, impressions in the gravel potentially left by the elbows, knees, and feet of a person in a prone shooting position, prone meaning lying on the ground. Police reviewed surveillance from the camera covering the roof and discovered that it recorded an individual dressed in dark clothing cross the railing from the public walkway and drop onto the roof at about 12:15 p.m. That's about 7 or 8 minutes prior to the shooting. This is important. Although the individual moved out of the camera's view for a short time, the camera again captured the individual running across the roof and then low crawling to the area the UVU officer recognized as where the suspected sniper had dropped down into a prone shooting position. So this low crawling area, this was actually recorded prior to the shot. After a short time, which matches the known time of the shot, 1, 2, 2, 3, 30 seconds, the individual arose and ran across the roof to the northeast and back into the view of the camera. So we have confirmation here that the crucial area where the sniper lay was an area where the CCTV wasn't able to pick up the shooter, certainly not the continuous movements. You can also see that although there are several ladders providing access to the roof, these would be risky to climb given the huge crowd milling around. This is why the stairwell was chosen for more discreet access to the roof. In point of fact, this stairwell was a critical vulnerability, a crucial security flaw that the shooter took advantage of.
Yep.
Going forward, this security hole will need to be addressed by UVU staff. Fox News recently published an article stating a security expert says Tyler Robinson got extremely lucky finding access to the Utah roof to allegedly carry out the attack. Well, I'm not going to take it further than that. Are there any questions? Well, let me know in the comments.
Yo, he did a great, that was a great video. Great video. Straight up. And again, we don't know everything yet. So them little missing seconds of the footage, maybe they do got it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they got footage of him. Maybe they got footage of him driving his car. Maybe they got everything. Maybe they got text messages or, phone calls that he made to people prior to, because he said he'd been planning for a week. Okay, who were you planning with? Who were you planning with if it wasn't just you? And I'm sure all of that's going to come out. And just like it was said in the comment section, when the trial comes out, that's when you're going to know all the information. That's when you're going to know all the information. They're only going to release things that cannot be refuted. See, the things that are maybe, in question, I don't think that they're gonna release that until it gets into the trial, because it'll be the thing. And they don't want to give the defense because dude got an attorney now, right? So if you've seen in the video when they showed the little picture of Tyler, or you didn't see it, I didn't show that one yet, but Tyler Robinson is in court and he's wearing a turtle suit, which is, again, another reason why I say Candace Owens ain't talking to him and ain't got nobody on her little team that's talking to him. It's impossible, okay? Because he's in a turtle suit. You ain't getting no phone calls, bro. And then if you did get a phone call, I'm sure you're not going to say, let me call Candace Owens' people real quick. And you know what I'm saying? That's plain, that's simple. Simple. So this is why I say, y'all, be careful who you listening to and what you're taking in, because if you'll notice, and I want you to start listening to everybody that follows Candace Owens or Tucker or anything, listen to the way that they relay information to you. They will say, it's been told to me, or it's been conveyed to me, or I have a feeling, or in my opinion. They will say all of these different kind of things before they say the thing that they want you to start believing, and then they would jump to something else to try to support that. And then you just take it as fact, even though they just told you it's a feeling. It's a tip that I got of someone alleging. Someone sent me this. Someone is saying. They ain't never gonna outright say that that's what they said, and they're not gonna tell you who it was that said it, because they probably don't exist. LeJan said, what's a turtle suit? A turtle suit is what they put you in when you say that you are about to try to take your own life and you're incarcerated. They put you in a turtle, you butt naked in a turtle suit. That's it. That's all you get. And a paper blanket one phone call per month. One phone call per month. And I guarantee you they didn't give that boy no phone call when he got to where he went. He probably got his one phone call, and he probably called his parents, and that's about it. After that, he ain't getting no phone call for 30 days. One phone call per month. And anybody that's been locked up would understand that. You know that. So, yeah, just be careful with how you're taking in information from people, okay? Because it's not always about getting the truth out with these people that you watch. And that's becoming real clear to myself. You know, as I watch them, I take on your guys' challenges. You say, hey, Cash, watch this video. And I do. I watch the video. Hey, Cash, go and watch all Candace videos. Okay. Hey, Cash, go check out Megyn Kelly. How do you feel about Megyn Kelly? Okay. And now JB, J-Bay, I think his name, she wants me to watch Joe Rogan. So I'm going to go and check out Joe Rogan. And I'm going to just listen. And it's hard to say that you're going to come out and say anything about Joe Rogan because Joe Rogan really don't be making no outlandish claims. He just does conspiracy talk, which is, that's all good and well. And he lets you know that his show is about that. We just have conversations and talk about stuff. It's not like he's making any claims. He just has thoughts. The difference with Candace is that she's making claims. She is making harmful claims. That's why I'm coming after Candace in the sense of not really coming after Candace, but her words. I'm coming after the things that she says and holding her accountable and poking holes in the things that she says. That's all. Because I see too many people getting upset, fighting with their own people that you love. You get mad at them because they don't buy into your Candace rhetoric or they're not on the hate Israel train. It's ridiculous. We got to get away from that. And I got a lot more, but it's going to be time to go get these kids from school here in a minute. So I think I might have to cut this short. And I got to drive to go pick up my other babies too. So I think we got to cut it here, guys. All right. Somebody tell you they got receipts, you should hold them accountable when they don't give them to you. Okay. When somebody tells you that they have proof of their claims, that they have the receipts, that means that you're supposed to hold them accountable when they don't show them to you. Not make excuses, because another comment said, they said that Cash, the reason why she's not showing the receipts yet is because she's waiting for them to lie. Well, they've already lied, according to her. They've already lied and are pushing a narrative that Tyler Robinson is the one that did this to Charlie. And that's another way that she keeps stringing people on. And people that love her, they fall for it. They just fall right for it. Because when I first started watching her, she said, if this person says anything, who was it? Bill Aikman, I believe it was. If this person says anything contrary to what I'm saying, I'm going to show the receipts. And never showed the receipts. Never showed them. Bibi Netanyahu, if he does, I'm going to show the receipts. Never showed the receipts. Tune in to me tomorrow, guys. I got some stuff I'm going to drop. Bombshells I'm going to drop for you. Never showed the receipt. No bombshells. Just videos that we've already all seen on the internet. That's all. More outlandish claims with no proof. Don't get mad at me for calling it out. And all the people that be in the comments talking about, you're paid by Israel. You're an Israeli shield. I don't know even how to defend that. I just don't. I don't got nothing for you on that one except to say that, okay, I'm not. I'm definitely not an Israel, shield or whatever you want to call it. I'm not paid by Bibi Netanyahu. And if I was, I would call Candace and be like, yo, you crazy. You are crazy, but you was right about this one. They just tried to pay me $7,000. I would. So I'm pretty sure they're not going to give me no money. Pretty sure that this is just all me just being me. All right. And with that, I bid you all a good day. I love you. I appreciate you. Unite. Don't fight. Be a street light, because only you can be the change you wish to see in the world. And when you get too stressed out, you got to remember to pray, America, because without God, everything falls apart. You can fall into a delusion, start believing things and speaking things that they're not true, Like, who wants to do that? I don't. I got God. Catch y'all later.